Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back for another one. This one was episode 8. The title of this one is Cut Above, kind of a play on words for Mikhael, as a lot of you may know him, aka as the flyest barber on Instagram. Um, really had a lot of fun with this one. We had a lot of laughs, but a lot of learning also occurred. So you guys are in for a real treat. We went everything from pretty much A to Z, how he got his start in aviation, how he became a barber, starting out as a driver for his current company, all the way up to doing what he's doing now, which is delivering cargo as a pilot, flying the 767. So I don't want to spoil it. I won't say too much, but you guys, again, are in for a real treat, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. And if you like what you hear, man, hit that like, that subscribe, and that share button if you feel so inclined. But once again, a cut above. Hope you guys enjoy. Hi, my name is Ricky, and I am a pilot and entrepreneur. Welcome to the Positive Rate Aviation Podcast. Here, we aim to lead others to climb to their full potential through the lens of aviation. Join us as we navigate the skies of personal development, leadership, and success, drawing inspiration from the principles that guide aviators to soar higher and further. Whether you're a seasoned aviator or someone who's reaching for new heights in life and career, prepare for a journey where every episode promises to uplift and to inspire you to take control of your own success. Thanks for watching. Hello, aviators, and welcome back to the Positive Rate Aviation Podcast, where our aim is to lead others to climb to their full potential through the lens of aviation. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Mikhael Ellis, aka the flyest barber. Man, what's going on, man?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah,
It's an absolute honor to be here. When Mario reached out to me, I was like, what? You want to talk to me? Th- This little dude. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
funny. Yeah, it's funny, man. We get that, kind of get that a lot, man, and I think that speaks to almost the character of a lot of people in this field, man, and in this industry. Is like most people are generally pretty humble. You know what I mean? And that of course just goes to you, man, speaking to your character, man. But nah, of course, we definitely want to talk to you, bro, because you got a lot to offer and a lot to say, and that's what we do here at Positive Rate is we like to learn. So we definitely look forward
Absolutely.
to learning some stuff from you today, man. Um, so yeah, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your current job position, and your aircraft.
Absolutely. So I am Mikhael Ellis. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. I started out in aviation probably about 2019, 2020, but like my aspirations probably started when I was in 10th grade of high school. I'm going to be so honest with you. I was dealing with a girl, and like her brother was a aviator and he worked at Aviation High School up in New York, and his girlfriend as well was a pilot and a maintenance mechanic or something like that. So we idolized their relationship, and we were like, it would be really cool if we could be a pilot relationship kind of situation going on. So I kind of ran after that when things just didn't work out with her, and I was like, man, I'm gonna show her. So I ended up like applying for all the colleges I could get into with my terrible GPA. And after coming down to it, I tried applying for Vaughn, and Vaughn was just like super expensive. So I figured, I can't go to Vaughn; it's too expensive. I could probably go to community college, but it would still be expensive. Aviation is just so hard to get into because of the cost. So
Right,
I went through a barbering program while I was in high school. And I started cutting hair at 17 years old in order to pay for flight school like later on in life. So thanks to my mom, of course, she got me in. But I started cutting hair and just trying to stay motivated to like do this aviation stuff. I went to college, and at Dutchess Community College upstate in Poughkeepsie, they had an aviation program. Still couldn't afford it, but I wanted to take my ground school courses. And after about like a year and a half to 2 years, I just could not stand trying to learn aviation from a desk. So I dropped out,
yeah,
moved to Atlanta, stayed in my sister's basement for a little bit, and just continued cutting hair. And I said, you know what? I'm not gonna let Sarah see me like this. That was her name. I was like, there's no way Sarah could see me like this. I got to get
Shout
at
out to
least my
Sarah.
private. Shout out Sarah Woodard, from the Bronx, New York, giving it up.
Yeah.
So she, yeah, she like having that in the back of my head kind of motivated me just to even get my private. And I said, let me just save up a little bit of money. I found a flight school, and that flight school at Peachtree to Calab Airport, it it was good experience. It was a very good experience, but I got milked. I got milked. Like when I tell you, like it was constant. Um, it was a lot of the same training, and there wasn't very much motivation. I found a few instructors that really did care about me, and we still talk to this day. But for the most part, it was like very repetitive. And I think part of it was the flight school, part of it was me as well, like trying to stretch a dollar, trying to get the most out of my money. But
Yeah.
after I got my private license done, that took about a year and 88 hours. I said, you know what? Let me at least, get my instrument, and just to be safe. And then I continued
Right.
cutting hair, studying for my instrument. I said, after my instrument, how about I just get my commercial, get paid to do it? So it was never like I had this plan, like, oh, since I was 3 years old, I wanted to be a pilot. Like, nah, I figured this
Mm.
out because I was trying to prove to my ex-girlfriend that I could do it. So,
Oh wow.
so that it led my flight training has led me to get my flight instructor license, and I've traveled from Atlanta to New York to Florida to Wichita, Kansas, and I instructed people and landed my first job at Spirit Airlines. That was my very first airline. I stayed there for a few months and I kind of got scared. So I left and went over to a company called Prime. I don't know if you've heard of it, but we do a lot of
Yeah, I think maybe I
packages.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But now I'm over in that department, doing cargo and stuff like that. So I got a little taste of passengers, but I think cargo might be a little bit more chill and laid back. But I'm enjoying it so far. I'm on the 767, and it's just been a blast. Like just being able to see different phases of aviation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Definitely.
little bit about me, just a little bit.
Yeah. Wow. So man, I gotta kind of digest all of that real quick because first of all, you said something that I never heard before. Because typically,
Uh,
when you talk to a lot of pilots, you hear about when they were bitten by the bug, right? It sounds
hmm
like you didn't really have that moment where you were kind of bitten by the bug. It was more so about Sarah, right?
Sarah,
Just to prove to
Sarah
her that you could do it.
Sarah gave you that drive. Me and Sarah don't talk anymore, by the way. So Sarah, if you're watching
Okay.
this, stay out my life, but just want to say thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, there was no bug. Like I got in, I had my first discovery flight in 2019, and we went up, and I was like, man, this is fun, this is cool. But I didn't see myself doing this. I had like my own mental hurdles, and I was like, it would just be cool. I fell in love with the idea of becoming a pilot, but not actually like putting the
Mm,
work necessary into it and seeing it out as like a career. I
yeah.
still had doubts, like even to my commercial license or my flight instructor license. I was like, man, like, can I really do this, full time? Because like
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's people that have jobs for like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of flying. And I'm like, dude, how do you do this for so long? And like, you just stay at this one job. And once I got through my first training, my 121 training event at Spirit, and I was actually flying over the Bronx, like looking down at Sarah's
Yeah.
house, I was like, wow, look at that. I
Yeah.
knew I was able to do this,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, it was I think that's when the bug really hit, like when I was going faster and like at higher flight levels. But it was
Yeah.
just so much self-doubt. It was like an unexplainable amount of self-doubt, especially coming from
Hmm.
the Bronx. I haven't
Yeah.
met anybody from the Bronx. Actually, one person. I've met one person in aviation thus far. His name is Eric Santos. He's currently flying an ATR, I think it's 42. I think that's what they call it, but it's huge plane for FedEx. And he
Okay.
actually graduated from my high school, but like,
Oh,
years before I went there. But like, it
yeah.
was just so crazy how we connected. And they say like the
Wow.
world is so small and aviation is so
Yep.
small, but like that was crazy. Seeing
Yeah.
like a
The
previous
same
graduate
high
of my
school.
high school. Yeah, same
Yeah,
high school, you know.
that's crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really interesting. But yeah, that bug, it didn't really come like so easy. Now now I'm hooked. But
Right.
even with going through uh the Pipers, the Cherokees, the Airbuses, and like now the 7.6. Um, Believe it or not, I don't see myself retiring like as a pilot. Like hopefully I can use my
Mm,
income now to, fund something else. I love flying. I really, really do. But like I don't think long term I see myself flying to 65 or 67 or whatever they want to do. Like I
wow.
really hope I'm able to like just use this money to, fund like real estate or, stocks or something like that. So
Right.
it's kind of what I
Wow.
want to get into.
Yeah. That's there's a guy, I think his name is, you just made me think about Ryan Setko.
Sick.
He's
Never
a
heard of him.
former, yeah, yeah, he's a former. I think he was a corporate guy. He used to fly corporate. Maybe I think he was doing some 121 stuff for a little bit, but like this guy now, I think is pretty head dove head first really into like real estate, with some like people that with a lot of money and a lot of influence. And just made me
Yeah,
think about what you just said because he was an
yeah.
example of that. But wow, so you got okay. So I didn't even think about that when you first mentioned the Spirit thing. So you've actually got two type ratings then under
Yeah,
your belt.
yeah, I got two. So the Airbus type rating kind of counts as like all of them in a way because I think I'm able to fly the 318, 319, 20, and 21 and then the Neo configurations. But on the actual license, it just says A320 family, I think is
Okay.
I think it says A320 or A320 family, and then that counts for all of them, except for the ones that you would need a different type rating for, like the 330, 350, or whatever it is, because like
Right.
clearly it's a whole different airframe. So now with the 7.6, it also counts as the 7.5, but they don't put it because of the airframe. So I think the type rating goes by airframes and like what else you can do under that airframe umbrella. So the 7.5 and the 7.6, I believe it's the same exact type rating. So my license
Yeah.
on that one says 7.5, 7.6, but like I have never touched the 7.5. I've been in a simulator, like a 7.5 simulator, and
Right.
I actually did my 7.6 check ride in a 7.5 simulator, and then I had to go
Simulator.
to Dallas to do differences training to see what was different and then
Wow.
the different intricacies and all of that jazz. But yeah, man.
Wow.
So I only have two type ratings under my belt.
Okay. Wow, man, that seems like a lot in a relatively, short period of time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so let's go. So let's back up just real quick, man, because one thing I wanted to kind of touch on. I know you mentioned you were cutting hair, and you were
Hmm.
kind of using that to kind of help fund your flight training. But at what point were you the doing the delivery, the Amazon delivery driver thing?
When the world needed me the most. It was in
Oh, okay,
2020, you know,
gotcha. Yeah,
so
yeah,
my barber shop shut down. I was crippled. The only thing I
yeah.
had was my clippers and a dream, so I thought.
Hmm.
And
Right.
then, Amazon was hiring like crazy. I didn't want to stop going to flight school, but at the same time, I was like, man, the world is shutting down. Am I able to still become a pilot? Maybe I should take a break. I called my mom, and she was like, you need to use this time to propel yourself even further because now you have the time to just focus on it. I said, Mom, I ain't got no money. She said, well, you need to go make some money. So you got a skill, go do that. And I cut hair a little bit on the side, like in my sister's house, but it wasn't as consistent as having, being in the barbershop and having people walk in and all that stuff. I didn't have that much clientele, but I made a decent amount of money. So I decided to apply for Amazon, and I don't want to say it changed my life, but it got me the money that I needed to get through flight school for that specific time. And in 2020, I was working on my private pilot license. So it was very imperative that I maintain my currency or like the repetition of flying. And that's where a lot of people get things messed up. When you just get into aviation, you have to understand that you can't stretch your bucks. You know what I'm saying? You have to drop the money. Like you have to, no
Yeah.
matter what. So when you're
Yep.
thinking, all right, I only got $15 in my account, maybe I should fly on Monday and then I'll fly on Friday and then maybe next week I'll fly on Wednesday because then I could stretch it out because it's so expensive. You can't do
Yeah.
that. Like you have to be flying at least 3 times a week. And during that time, it was really hard to find people to fly with because everybody was, masked up. They
Oh
didn't
yeah.
want to be bothered
Yeah.
with flight instructing if they didn't have to. So my not only did my barbershop shut down, but my flight school shut down, and there I was on the street looking for work. I applied for Amazon. It took them a little bit of time to call me back. And during that time, I was applying for a fueling job at Lawrenceville Airport. And it's located maybe about, I don't know, like 30 miles to the northeast of Atlanta. And I met maybe about four people that day. It was crazy. I met one of my best friends, Victorino. I met my flight instructor, Michael Carter, and my other flight instructor, Fabrice, and one of my friends, good friends now, his name is Chris. And like the relationship that I made that day is what got me through literally the rest of my training. People say
Mm.
things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job. So I was applying for a fueler job. I didn't have a flight school because my flight school kind of shut down in a way. So when I was applying for that fueling job and I see these people walk in, talking and stuff like that, I see pilots of color. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an easy conversation. How are you?
Right.
What's going on? How's it going? And they was like, man, what are you doing here? I said, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to get through flight school. They said, you know what? We actually just opened up somewhat of like a flight school kind of thing. It was called Fly Eagle Aviation. And the owner was Michael Carter, which I took, he walked in, and Fabrice. They were kind of like brothers in a way, like they were business partners. And they took me under their wing and was like, listen, how about you just come with us to teach our student Chris at, I think it was Emory University, and you just sit in on
Mm.
class because if you can't fly, at least you can, do your ground knowledge and stuff, and we'll help you out. And they helped me free of charge for my private license, and that's
Wow.
hard to come by. That is so hard to
Mm.
come by.
I would
So
say
they
that's almost
they
impossible.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at this
Wow.
point, I was getting check ride ready, and they took it
Yeah.
upon themselves to be like, you know what? I see this kid. He's busting his butt trying to get by. We'll just help him this time,
Wow.
and maybe he'll come back for another rating. And I did for
Yeah.
for more ratings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, that was how I met them. And then in between that time, while we're studying and doing ground and stuff like that, I picked up that job with Amazon, and I would just deliver packages from, I think, I don't know, Metro Atlanta to like Fayetteville. I'm not too sure how to pronounce the words, but it's like Southwest Atlanta. And I
Okay.
did that for as long as I could, or as long as I needed to, until my real barbershop opened back up. And that took maybe about close to about 2 months. So during that time is when I took my private pilot license, or my private pilot check ride. And like everything else was history. It was very emotional time. We had so much going on in society. It was weird. It was like everybody was doing a whole lot of nothing but something
Hmm.
at the same time. It was so
Yeah.
weird. Like everybody became entrepreneurs. People got into aviation. Like I've never seen so many people more interested in aviation in 2020 than ever before. And I think the pay was like a big problem back then because like when I started aviation, I was committed to working for $30 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sucks, but hopefully it'll get better. And it did. It got way better close to like 2020. We call it like the gold rush, the pilot gold rush of 21.
Mm.
And like it got so much better. And when I tell you again, things happen for a reason. Me meeting that man on that day and getting through all of my flight training and then being prepared to sign my first contract in 2022, it was amazing. Like it was great. I put in maybe about like 2.5 years of hard work as far as like my remedial training goes, like private instrument commercial, CFI, double I, and I was able to get my 15 and sign that first contract, and it was amazing. So
Yeah.
when I signed my first contract with Piedmont Airlines, um, the training was really, really slow. So I decided, after a few months, how about instead of like waiting on this company, I go to Spirit. Went to Spirit, passed training. It was an amazing experience. And then again, something was going on with the hiring team, or maybe at the hiring department, or the way that just aviation is right now with the JetBlue merger and all of that other
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, I need something stable. I don't want to continue jumping around. Where else can I go? And as I'm looking for places, I see Amazon. And I met this guy. I ended up meeting this guy in Hawaii while I was like doing my little interviews to try to find an escape route for Spirit. And he was like,
Right.
"Yeah, I work for this company and we do cargo. Have you ever seen like the Prime planes?" I was like, "What, Amazon?" So he was like, "Yeah, I can put a word in for you if you want. Like they're really good to me." So I connected with him, and it was kind of like a no-brainer. And that full circle moment came back, and I was like, "Wow, look at this!" Now I went from a driver in a way to being a pilot, and I just love like
Yeah.
the progression, throughout everything. There's been so many other obstacles as well, but this one I probably would have done just to say that I did it as well. Just because like
Yeah.
nobody is able to say, yeah, well, I was a driver and then I became a pilot for the same company, or
Yeah.
I deliver packages and years later I still deliver packages, but now in a huge plane. So
Exactly.
it was great. I absolutely loved the whole entire journey. I don't think people like value their journey as much,
Yeah.
because like now that I'm here, ah, don't get me wrong, like I'm happy, but I'm in a hotel room. I don't get to
Yeah.
I don't get to fly very much anymore. People think you do a whole bunch of flying. You kind of just sit around, wait for people to need you, and
Yeah.
you in order to get more flight time, you got to go out there and ask them like, hey, do you have any hours to spare, Mr. Scheduler? You know, and it's like maybe I don't know. Like right now, it's so weird in aviation because like we have so many FOs
hmm
and not enough captains everywhere. So
hmm
it's a weird time, but like I said before, I'm just happy to be here. You know?
Yeah. Is that so with all the huge, influx of FOs, right? And that kind of that being a little bit imbalanced, is that due to a lot of captains just not retiring or a lot of FOs choosing not to upgrade? Or like what
Yeah,
is the
I
cause of that?
I think honestly, from what I've been hearing, because like I haven't been in this aviation industry long enough to really pinpoint it and know it. But from what I
Yeah.
hear is the quality of life on a high seniority FO is better than a junior captain. So yeah, they don't
Mm,
want to upgrade. The high FOs don't want to upgrade and lose that quality of life with their kids and have the holidays off or the weekends off or whatever have you versus being on the FO because you kind of like you ever play Call of Duty?
yeah.
When you prestige, it's kind of like you got to start all over. So like that's the same thing going from the
Okay.
right seat to the left seat, and you're the most junior as captain now and
Mm,
you're the captain of the ship. So now everything's on you. And now it's like you're kind of doing more work. Don't get me wrong, you're getting paid more, but at the same time, you're doing more work than you would do if you were to just sit in the right seat. So yeah, some people don't want to upgrade. There's forced upgrades at some places.
hmm mm,
That's interesting, but I think that's the biggest part, and as well as retirements. Like there's like a whole list on Airline Pilot Central of the amount of retirements that are going to happen throughout the years, and like they're huge. They're really really big, and I think now in aviation, what's happening is it's starting to not. I don't want to say stop, but it's slowing down, and it's
right.
not going to be like what it was in 2021 or 2022. Like if you had a heartbeat, you were getting a job. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly
Yeah.
everybody's qualified. You've passed
Right.
all of your training at that point. So now they're just trying to figure out, do you have a personality to sit in a plane with from Ontario to Hawaii for
Right.
5.5 hours? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
are you a cool guy? You stand
Yeah.
up dude. So that was pretty much it. It was just like a conversation. And even the interviews have not been what they were in the past, from what I hear. They used to be more simulator events. There used to be more series of interviews that you had to go through and go through so many other people. Now it's kind of just like, or it was like you apply, maybe like a virtual conversation like what we're having. And
Yeah.
then, all right, have you ever gotten a DUI? Have you killed anybody before? Uh, are you
Wow.
like cool enough to be here? Like that's pretty much like those are
Yeah.
the questions that they would ask towards the end. And the most important question is like, why do you want to work here? I feel like that's probably the hardest question because like
Right.
part of you wants to just say, hey, I need a job, but the other
Yeah.
part, you got to be professional and just
Yeah.
let them know you got to do your research and tell them. why you want to be there and show
Mm-hmm.
them that you're kind of not there just for now, but you're there forever. That's so hard to
Right.
sell sometimes, though. So hard.
Right.
But yeah, so it's really
Yeah.
hard to sell why you want to work at a place when it's not like Delta United American. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
so hard. Like I applied for Allegiant a while back, and they were like, "So tell me, why do you want to work at Allegiant?" I'm over here like, man, I need a job. I need some multi time. I need turbine time. Like that's what I
Yeah.
need. So I forgot,
Just
why did
tell
I
them like,
bring
hey,
this up?
I love Vegas, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I think the as far as industry goes, that's what we were talking about, like the industry and like people like having not enough captains. I think there's a lot that goes into it, but the retirements that are going on, what we just went through with the pandemic, people were taking early retirements.
Yeah.
We have FOs that don't want to upgrade, whether it's because they want the quality of life or they're not ready to be a captain yet. Who knows? Like there's just so many
Mm-hmm.
reasons why it's like that right now. But I will say that it's so weird how the industry is. They hire to the point of furloughs. You know what I'm saying? Like they hire so
Yeah.
many, and then all of a sudden they cut off, and then they stop hiring, and then
Mm-hmm.
the week afterwards, hey, by the way, yeah, we need some spots to be gone because
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
too expensive now. So it was just so weird, like how that
Mm-hmm.
works. I'm still like getting into it. I'm trying to figure out like which route to take, but I'm in a very safe place right now. Excuse me, I'm getting a little excited. I'm in a
Yeah. No,
safe
you good.
place, and I'm happy that I went to a company like Amazon because I know that we won't be going out of business no time soon. We have the stability as far as cargo goes. Like everybody needs cargo. Those were the only planes flying in 2020, and I think that's when we thrived in
Mm-hmm.
2020, 2021. When, like I said, when everybody needed cargo, like that's when it was most important. Whether it be FedEx, UPS,
Yeah.
Prime, like what is it? Like ABX, that's another company, Air Transport International, Atlas, like all of those cargo companies were at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. You had people like me buying podcast equipment.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the entrepreneurs came out.
Yeah, yeah, facts, man. So one thing I wanted to kind of touch on or go back to that you said, man, that kind of made me think was when you were like, you gotta kind of stop and just appreciate the journey, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked about that to a few other people that I've had on here, man. But that really is something because, like you said, from where I'm sitting, looking at where you are, I'm like, man, I would love to be, doing what he's doing. But that's your journey, right? And the only thing that I should be doing is just being happy for you and your journey as I control what I can, on mine, right?
And
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 just
making
and just taking
sure,
it for what it is.
yeah, and making sure that like you are making the most out of your situation too. Like, what are you working on right now? Where are you at in your training?
So yeah, right now I'm working on my multi add on. So
Okay.
I just got I got my commercial like about a month and a half ago, and yeah, I just got
Congrats.
yeah, thank you, yeah,
Congrats. No, that's a
appreciate
big
it,
one. That's a
man.
big one. That is a
Yeah,
very big one.
yeah,
And multi, I will say, my private, no, I'm sorry, my instrument and my multi, those were the ratings that made me feel like a pilot, like a real life
mm,
pilot. When I was doing my instrument
yeah,
stuff and I had the hood on, or Fabrice would take me up and we'd be in like actual IMC, and I'd
yep,
be in a cloud and I can't see anything, and I'm over there putting him in 30-degree banks, and he's like, "What are you doing? What is going on?" You know? Like I was just
yeah,
so infatuated with like that experience, and I was like, "Oh, I'm becoming a real pilot." Not yo, but
mm,
I'm becoming a real pilot now. And
yeah,
multi with both engines going, and just taking off and feeling the throttles go up and the noises and
oh
all
yeah,
that stuff. It was great. And then the positive rate gear up stuff. Like I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this." I'm telling you,
yeah,
I would
yep,
smile so hard when he would say positive rate, like my instructor would say positive rate. I would burn this part right here. This would hurt because I'd be smiling so much.
yeah,
So
yep,
those two ratings really made me feel like a pilot for real. So like, congrats, enjoy that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, go out and go fly to go get some burgers. $100 hamburgers in that multi of
hmm
yours. Take your wife or girlfriend or whatever out, enjoy the sunsets and stuff like that. You got to get to 1,500 hours somehow. Take your
Somehow,
friends
yeah.
up, that pro rata share situation, and like go
Yeah,
around
right.
your city. Yeah, right. Like, make it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So make it happen, like enjoy the sunsets, enjoy the little bit of rain that you have, that the
Hmm.
drizzle that comes down, and enjoy checking the weather, and the weather being below mins, and you're like, ah man, I guess I gotta stay home today. Like enjoy that stuff, because when you get here, you're sending it. You know what I'm saying? Like you are taking off.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say regardless. There's a
Mm.
safety a little safety, what do you call that? Buffer.
Like margin.
Yeah, safety
Yeah.
margin, of course. But the airline, I don't care what airline it is, they don't care what the what the weather is doing, as long as your plane can do it and you can do it. You get what I'm saying? So
Mm.
like legally, you should be able to make that flight. So for you to say, I don't feel comfortable, like why? What makes you feel uncomfortable? Is it your training? Is it your lack of experience? Like you are gonna fly the plane, like I said, if your plane can do it and if you can do it, and you've been trained for that.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
now you still have the leisure of saying,
I
that's
think I'm good.
a
Yeah.
little strong, like
Yeah.
25 gusting. What? I don't know about this one. You
Like,
know,
is that coming straight down? Is that
yeah,
coming
straight
straight
down
down
the
the pipe or
pipe,
nah?
or is that,
Yeah.
because if you carry the one, and
Right. Oh, not to carry the one. But hold on, let me transfer from my check-ins, my
you gotta
savings to
do
my
the,
checking real
you
quick.
know, you're out here calculating things you ain't never calculate
Right.
before. So,
Facts.
so yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta enjoy the journey itself. When I got my private, I was flying. I was taking my friends out, taking other Sarahs out, and we'd go get breakfast. And yeah,
Yeah.
and we get breakfast in North Carolina or South Carolina in Clemson, and then we go get lunch in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. Like have fun, enjoy your journey. Don't think, let me build, 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 build my hours to 1,500, and then you get to 1,500. Now you're like, all right, cool. Now I can relax. Like it's not time to relax. Now you've just forced yourself to study even harder,
Mhm.
and you don't have the leisure of studying on your own time anymore. You're going to go to your initial class, and they're going to give you so much information. It will be overwhelming, and you never had time to really value the Part 91 flying that you would do. So that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy the journey. If it's taking you a while, dude, it's like that's your journey. Own it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're only able to fly X, Y, and Z days, then that's when you can fly. As far as like your time building stuff, like your training should be structured, of course. But in
Yeah.
your free time when you're building up to 15, dude, go take a trip from, I don't know, where do you live?
Yeah. I'm in Virginia, VA.
Virginia, yeah, go from
Yeah.
Norfolk to New York, dude. It's like 3 hour. What is it? three
Yeah.
hours and
Actually,
4 hour
yeah.
flight. Go do
Yep.
that. Go up and down the Hudson. Just pay tribute to the Sullenberger. Do
Yeah.
your
I
thing up
did
there.
that during commercial.
You
That
did?
was
How
actually
was that?
my that's actually what we did for my long cross country during commercial. That was dope, man.
Wow, that was
Did the
amazing.
yeah, so we went up, did the shout out to Trey, man, my instructor.
Okay.
Um but yeah, we did that, did the Hudson, and then man, we our plan was to, of course, you're entering the special flight rules area, so we were
Uh
going to
huh.
come in and do all that, but the ATC just cleared us straight into the Bravo. They're just like, hey, clear straight in, maintain 1,500. I like came
Wow.
back like, hey, say again, let me make sure I
Yeah.
heard that right.
Yeah.
And he's
Did
like, yeah,
you?
clear
Dang,
straight
really just
in.
get the clearance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I'm in a Cessna 172. We ended up like circling the Statue of Liberty like 2 or 3 times,
Wow.
and then yeah, flew right past like Central Park, Madison
Mm-hmm.
Square Garden, Yankee Stadium was all off to the right. We basically looped around. I think we like clipped Connecticut and then looped back around and came around to FRG Republic,
Okay.
the airport up there, just
Yeah.
under the Bravo. And I had never been to New York before,
Mm-hmm.
so as far as to your point, as far as enjoying it, man, like that was probably one of mine. I've had quite a few, but that was probably one of my favorite memories that I've made so far in aviation. I'm actually going to do it again too for my my night cross country.
That's great.
My instructor now, man, Ricardo, if you see this, shout out, man. But he's from New York
Oh,
and Dominican cat, man, from NY. So he's like, yeah, man, you got to go do the Hudson at night. He's like, if you think it's cool during the day, you got to see it at night. So we're gonna
yeah.
take the multi up there and do it at night.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what people need to do. They need to enjoy themselves. Me being from New York, like I said, when I first flew up and down in the Cessna, I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And
Yeah.
then it got even better when I was in that jet looking over, like I told you, like looking over the city. I was like, "Wow,
Hmm.
I've made it. I've made it to like the the bot like where my dreams start. You get what I'm saying? Because like you're
Yeah.
always gonna continue working harder and harder,
Right.
flying bigger, faster, further, and whatever. But I was like, well, I can't believe I even got this far. That is when it hit me. It didn't hit me when I got my
Hmm.
private instrument, a commercial, or anything like that. It hit me when I was over my city at like probably like 11,000 feet, and we were coming in on the approach, and I was like, wow, this is real.
Yeah. Like,
This
I'm
is
really
really
doing this.
happening right now. So when you fly over Virginia, are you from Virginia?
Nah, I'm
Where are you
from
from?
Carolina. North Carolina.
North Carolina. So when you flying
Yeah.
over in your jet over Kakalaki and you looking down at your city, you be like, wow, you might even shed a tear. You might have to give the
Yeah.
controls up to the captain and say, hey,
Yeah.
I need a minute or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
you
that
know,
captain might be you, man.
and I hope, let's do this.
Yeah.
Where we going?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, facts. Speaking into existence, man.
Yeah. We'll do a North Carolina to New York flight and we'll both be crying. We'll be
Yeah.
giving up the
Yeah.
controls left and right.
Yeah. So yeah, man, we'll keep it going. I just wanted to add, let's see here. One thing I wanted to ask too was so what is that typical day like, basically being in the moment, enjoying your journey. What does a typical day look like for you? What's kind of like your typical schedule right now?
Okay, so what my company promotes is a 16 on, 14 off schedule. So it's roughly, let's just call it 2 weeks on, 2 weeks
Mm,
off. That's what they promote.
okay.
And I mean, for the most part, we get that, but I was on open reserve, which means instead of being with the company in a hotel at wherever, like let's call it Atlanta for this example, I won't I will actually be at home, like in my house. And if they need me, then they'll call me and they'll give me X amount of time. I think it might be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. where they can call me and then I got to get ready to go to Atlanta airport and then fly out to whatever plane that they need me to go to. But they still, I think part of my contract is they need me to have 9 hours of rest prior to the flight. So if they call me at 7 a.m., I got to be to the airport within an hour and a half. So 8:30 or yeah, 8:30, 9 o'clock will be
Yeah.
like the flight that they put me on. They'll fly me somewhere else. I'll sit for 9 hours and then I will fly.
Oh, okay.
So that's open reserve at home. And then there's hot reserve, which I'm doing right now, where I'm I don't have to be in uniform. I'm kind of just in uniform because like we're calling.
Right.
I'm you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm over here at the hotel waiting for them to give me a call. But while I'm waiting for them to give me a call, like I go to work probably in like another 2 hours. What I'm gonna do is when my open reserve start or my hot reserve starts, I'm gonna go to the plane. I'm gonna pre-flight it. The captain's gonna get the fuel. Let the company know, hey, we just checked the plane out. Let us know if you need us. We're gonna go back to the hotel. I'm gonna take my uniform fully off, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. And if they call me, then they call me, and that's that. And that lasts from I think 5 or 6 o'clock up until like maybe 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow, like a.m. Or it
Mm,
might maybe 3 a.m. or something like that. I gotta look it up. But for the most part,
yeah.
that's really what it is. So I'm just used if they need me or not. And since I had a whole day to recover, there's no 9 hour like time period in place. It's kind of just like if they need me, I gotta be at the plane in now 30 minutes. But it's already pre-flighted, so it makes
Right.
it
Right.
easier. And most likely they would have already loaded it or been loading it. And my company does a really, really good job at letting you know if you're gonna fly or not. So I mean, at this time, I haven't heard nothing from him for my 5 o'clock showtime, so I don't think
Yeah.
I'm going to be used later tonight. So I kind of try to fill that time with useful stuff. So like, looking at uh, YouTube videos of the plane, or maybe going through my handbook or something like that, like the operating book that we got to use, the
Right.
GOM, the FOM, and just learn different things about the plane. Maybe bond with the captain. Him and I will probably like meet downstairs in the lobby and we'll just talk. Get to know each other, talk about some do's and don'ts, maybe like a pre-brief, maybe. But
Okay.
the majority of the briefings do happen at the plane, like when we're getting there, or like if we're on the shuttle or in the actual flight deck. We'll talk about it before we take off, but we might do like a little intro because this captain I will be with for the next 2 weeks, even though I'm
Gotcha.
doing a hot reserve stretch. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be the
Hmm.
same guy. So you kind of want to have a good relationship with him. So that is my typical schedule right now. But when I was on open reserve, it was whenever they needed me, they called me. I have, we get emails sometimes at like 2 in the morning when schedules will come out or like open trips will come out. And I'll just call them up and say, hey, do you mind if I get on this trip? And I'm like, yeah, sure. We'll send you a flight, and they will purchase my ticket for me to get to the plane, and then I'll stay there again for 9 hours and then start whatever trip that they have going. But that's just because like I was hungry and I wanted to get more flight hours and stuff like that. So like the
Right.
flight hours
Right.
don't stop. Like I hit 1500, and now instead of getting the 1500 piston time or total time, now I'm looking for 15 or 1,000 hours of turbine time. Does that
Turbine.
make
Yeah.
sense? And I'm
Okay.
looking for a thousand
Yeah.
hours turbine because that is what counts towards your captain upgrade for whatever plane you're flying. They usually
Right.
require that you're in the plane for 1,000 hours, or you have previous experience in the plane, and then you can upgrade. So now I'm kind of hurting for that 1,000 hours of turbine time in the 7.6 so that I
Yeah.
could switch over to the left seat. But again,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my journey. I'm not in a
Yeah.
rush.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
just love
Right.
to be. I'm just happy
Yeah.
to be here.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Is it possible that with you being on this open reserve, right? On this status that, like, let's say they don't need you, you don't get called. So what about the captain that you're paired with? Is it possible that he would fly and you wouldn't, and then like you would meet up with him again in like 2 days or whatever?
So we are locked in.
Y'all are.
Me and my
Got you.
captain. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're locked in for the next 2 weeks. And
Okay. So if
actually,
you don't go, neither one of y'all are going.
yeah, and I actually
Okay.
lied to you and I apologize. We are not locked in for 2 weeks. Our bidding period is 56 days long, meaning there as many trips as going to be with whatever like schedule we have. We're going to be together. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm with him, and then I got time off. I probably got like 2 or 3 weeks off, and then when we come back, him, and I have to do more flights together for another 2 weeks. So I'm really with him
Got you.
for close to 2 months. I've
Wow. Okay.
never, I've never dealt with that before. Like at Spirit, the way we would do things is like I was with a new captain every day. Like every
Right.
other day I was with somebody new, or we'd be together for maybe 3 or 4 days, and then we'd go home, and I'd probably never see him again. But
Right.
this company is just so small. We only got like maybe 500 pilots, and of course I'm at the bottom
Okay.
of that.
Right.
So I
Right.
get like the dirtiest schedule. So I got me
Yeah.
sitting here doing nothing. But in all actuality, like if I had a family and I had kids and like more obligations, I really wouldn't mind the schedule because there's not very much to do. It only bothers me because
Hmm.
I want those hours. But
Right.
as far as like quality of life and the amount of work to, I guess, yeah, like just work that I would have to do is very low compared to,
Yeah.
I guess, somebody that is more senior or less senior than me, because typically you would think, oh, well,
Yeah.
if you're new to the job, they're going to be working you. But yeah, I'm just hanging around, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So so let's reflect back on your experience real quick as a flight instructor, your instructor
Yeah,
days. So what's if you could think of maybe one of the most memorable experience that you had as a flight instructor, like a funny story or something like that that you reflect on that you kind of often tell to your friends and family.
man, funny story as a flight instructor. I got a few, some that I'll save for off the platform, but I
Okay.
think I think I think the funniest one was probably I don't know, can't I can't think of I can't think of a funny one, but I do have a memorable one.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when I was in high school, I used to take AP Computer Science, and I don't know what I was doing in that class. I think I think I was pushed in there by accident or something like that. But me and the teacher were really cool. So um, I end up finding out that he's an av geek, and when I started flying, he reached out to me. He was like, "I can't believe you're taking flying lessons. I wish I could fly. I'm not able to obtain a medical, but like I really want to fly. Do you think we could fly one day?" I was like, "Pfft, yeah, sure. Like let's do it." But it was one of those things that I kind of just put in the back of my head because I didn't think it would really be possible. I told you, I didn't really start believing in myself until I was flying bigger planes. So
Right.
um, I got a couple of my licenses, and when I believe before I went off to my first jet and I had my flight instructor license, I took a trip up to New York and he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey man, do you think we could fly?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me just see what I could do." So I looked around and I found a flight club at Farmingdale, and I rented
Oh
one of
yeah.
the Cessnas, and I was able to take him up. We flew up and down the Hudson River, but on the west side, not the East River. And
Hmm.
to see him and his eyes light up, and it was another one of those full circle moments because now the student became the instructor, and now I'm teaching him how to fly, and he was just teaching
Right.
me, some binary code,
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So that was one of my most favorite experiences.
Wow.
I wouldn't say it was the funniest, but like that was a really good time. And he goes to sleep listening to ground or ATC sometimes, and he would hear he knows the actual terminology for certain things. So I had him on the radios, I had him making like little turns and stuff like that, and he loved it. When we were
Wow.
coming back into Farmingdale, they told us to watch out for traffic because there was a 350 or 330 taking off, and he stopped. Like the whole time he was on the radios, but at that time he stopped, and I was wondering why he didn't like make the radio call. I look over at him, and he's looking at the 350 taking off like above us like that. He was like so amazed, and I
Yeah.
felt so good to give him that experience. You know what I'm saying? His name was Mr.
Wow.
This and That.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that, man. I loved it so much.
That's a heck of a way too to expose somebody to aviation, and that because like I told you before, when I went up there for my commercial cross country, man, that's
Yeah,
obviously very some of the nation's busiest airspace up there.
yeah.
So to kind of immerse him in that, man, as his first experience, that's pretty cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Um. So with the barber thing, man, like, is there any way? Are there any parallels with barbering that you would say, kind of in terms of dealing with clients? I know you're flying car. I know you're flying cargo now, so maybe it doesn't apply as much. But maybe when you were with Spirit, those interpersonal skills that you gained from dealing with clients, as a barber, did you see any of that translate to, when you were flying with Spirit?
Absolutely, and believe it or not, it still correlates to cargo too because you have to maintain a good conversation and flight levels like that. It's almost mandatory. I don't know why
Oh
they don't put
yeah,
that in the
yeah,
regulations. You gotta
yeah.
have like a,
That's
a good
true.
conversation, dude. We're flying like I did a 15-hour duty day to Hawaii. It was a round trip from Ontario to Hawaii and back the same day. We had an augmented flight crew, so there was another captain in the back, and as well as my captain and myself. That's 15 hours. You know,
That's a lot, man.
we
Yeah,
gotta talk about something. So,
yeah.
being a barber, there's a lot to talk about as well. Like you're not only a barber, you're a therapist. People just start opening up, and sometimes, quite frankly, they might open up a little bit too much. And
Yeah.
I felt too involved in their life. Like I've been invited to weddings from my clients or people that I've met. Been invited to like their house for dinner. You know, it was an eye opening experience when I saw what barber like just how networking works and like how a conversation can get
Hmm.
you so far. I met this one person who was in the music industry, and he got me to cut some other people, some TikTokers and vloggers and stuff like that. And I even cut what is his name? Somebody in the NBA. I don't watch basketball, but they were like, "Yeah, man, I need you to cut
Okay.
this guy's hair." And like Drake made a song about six man, Lou Williams. That's what his name was, Lou
Oh,
Williams. Yeah, so I cut
dang.
his
You
hair.
cut Lou Will?
Yeah, man.
Oh shoot.
I heard he
Okay.
goes by the name of Lemon Pepper Lou.
Lemon pepper.
Lemon Pepper Lou.
He
So,
does. He does.
so
We'll save that for off cam too. But
yeah.
yeah, he definitely does. Hey,
so,
the Romans know what's up.
so,
Yo, that's
so yeah,
crazy.
I had like opportunities. I think honestly, like barbering, like I had an opportunity to be like one of those like cool, celebrity barbers, but I really wanted to prove that girl wrong. I was like,
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
become a pilot. Like that is what I must do right now. But
Yeah.
but yeah, for the most part, the conversations that we would have, just knowing how to talk to people, knowing when to say something and when not to say something, that helps out a lot
Mm,
because sometimes like your captain will be having a really, really bad day and you don't want to be the reason why he has an even worse one.
worst day.
With my
Yeah.
clients, I talk to them. Sometimes they wouldn't want to be bothered. Like I used to cut hair. Sometimes the music will be on. I'll sing a little bit. The client will tell me, "Yo, I didn't ask for all of this. You trying to serenade me? You know what I'm saying?" I'm like, brother, please, I'm just trying to like do my thing. And he
Yeah.
was like, "Nah, I need you to stop. Stop singing to me right now. This is getting too intimate."
Wow.
So,
Okay.
there's little cues, and
Must have been somebody from Harlem.
it might, maybe I don't know, like, you know, but. But yeah, for the most part, I walk into the flight deck. I introduce myself. Hey, Captain, what's going on? I'll be your first officer today. Officer today. How are you doing? Did you get enough sleep? Everything looking good? Happy to be here. That sounds good. But I don't want to go in there like if I'm having a bad day and be nonchalant or like not in a talkative kind of mood. Like nobody deserves that. Like I said, we have to
Right.
be paired together for X amount of hours. Let's
Yeah.
get to know each other. And sometimes I might ask a question like, yeah, man, how was it with you in aviation as far as like the dating goes, because I'm having trouble finding somebody to be with me being away from so long, and like I don't know where to look. And they might make a face and not want to entertain that conversation due to, I don't know, like a divorce that they may have had, or maybe problems in their relationship. And you kind of got to know how to pick up on things like that, and I got that from the barbershop. Just knowing how to
Okay.
talk to people, being a people person. And it
Right.
did show out at Spirit too. When I was at Spirit, I was a people person. I would talk a lot. I'd be doing a lot of
Yeah.
talking, and I enjoyed it. Again, more for off
Yeah.
camera, but
Right. I'm sure.
yeah, there was a lot of great experiences that I had at that place. It was phenomenal. I wish they were in such a like traumatic state right now, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
it would have been nice to be there for a little bit longer and get more Airbus
Kind
time.
of see how that played out. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure. Okay. So that was the barbering. So of all your ratings, man, what would you say was the easiest and which one was the most challenging?
you know what is so funny? I didn't even think he was gonna ask me that question, but I always tell people, "Are you ready? Are you ready for this?"
I think so. I'm sitting down.
My hardest rating to this day, was private. My
I actually had a
private
feeling you were gonna say
my
that. I had
private
a
was
feeling you
my
were gonna say
hardest.
that.
That was my hardest rating because it was so much brand new information that I've
Mm.
so many new concepts that I just could not wrap my head around. I get wrapped around the axle about how is low pressure on the upper surface and higher pressure on the bottom if the velocity
Mhm.
increases. Like there was just so much backward stuff, and it was so hard to consume because I had nothing to base it off of. Like it went against what I believed in, which was gravity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it just made no sense to me. So that was the hardest. That rating took me a year to complete. So I started in August of 2019 and I finished in August of 2020. Took a whole year.
Mm.
And that is the rating that really taught me that I dropped out of college, not because it wasn't for me, but because I was lazy. I didn't know how to study. That rating taught me how to study. I had to force
Yeah.
myself to sit at the table. I had to set timers when to take breaks, and I had to limit the amount of social media. I had to limit like the stuff that I eat because, like I told you, it's coffee. If I drink too much of it, I'm gonna be in the bathroom for too long. So now it's cutting into my
Yeah.
study time. It was so many other things
Yep.
that I take into account. And private, it it really made me, whoa, what is going on here? It
Wow.
made me.
Well,
Did you see that?
I did. I don't know what that was about.
I guess like a light went
I
off,
never.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, it made me who I am. Like as far as like the ethic, the study ethic, like the hardworking person that I am, as far as getting through ratings. So that kind
Mm,
of set the tone for my career, and now I'm confident to the point where you could put me in front of any plane and give me the manual for it and get me through like a training environment, and I will do very, very well because of
yeah.
how I studied in private. Now I know what to look for, how to discipline myself. My easiest rating was um, I'd say the 7.6. 7.6 was very easy, but
Wow.
but we got to talk about the differences. Going from the Airbus to the 7.6 was difficult because of the system logic, but actually understanding it after getting through those little hurdles of the differences between the French and the American engineers, it was so much easier because I already got through a previous 121 training event. You get what I'm
Oh, okay.
saying?
Yeah.
It helped me out because I
Yeah.
knew what to look for and I knew how to study from my previous experience. And some of the systems were the same.
Yeah.
But if we're talking the GA ratings, I would say what came close to being easy was CFII, hands down.
Hmm.
CFII was like the one of the easiest ratings. Still a lot of hard work, but if you maintain your currency and instrument, it never, I don't want to say it never goes away, but it's really hard to lose that information if you're
Yeah.
constantly doing it. So after I got my instrument rating, I was constantly flying in IMC and shooting approaches with my
Okay.
friends and traveling. Like we've flown back and forth to Kansas, Minnesota, different places in Florida, New York, in a GA plane, and like we're shooting approaches everywhere. Like even if we were en route, we like see an airport, and we just say, "Hey, is there any airport or runway that's lined up with the GPS approach?" And we'll do a missed approach on the way there. So it
Okay.
helps out. It helps out a lot if you just stay current with it, and being able to teach it. There was a Pilots Cafe. I know you've heard of it. Everybody's heard of Pilots
Yep.
Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Like I basically rewrote that like 4 or 5 times and I was ready. It was not that bad. So yeah, hardest
Wow. That's a good
private,
idea.
easiest was double I, CF double I
Double I.
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. I had a feeling you were going to say private only because, well, for one, I
How
agree
I
with you.
prepped you?
I mean,
Oh.
well, no, well, nah, like because I agree with you honestly, and obviously I've only done a few check rides, but
Hmm.
out of the three that I've taken, private, instrument, commercial, that was definitely the most challenging because to your point, you don't know anything, right? You're
Hmm.
coming from not having anything to base any kind of previous knowledge or experience on. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had a feeling going to say that,
Yeah,
but man, double
absolutely.
I, that one surprised me that you said that though, because from what I guess between what I've heard and just thinking about what you're doing in terms of teaching instrument,
Hmm.
that I thought that was actually one of the check rides that had the one of the higher, fail rates.
I think CFI has the highest fail rate, like the instructor
Okay.
cert. For me,
Yeah.
again, it wasn't rocket science, but it was because the way that I looked at it was you've already learned all of that stuff. You get what I'm saying? You got all the
Hmm.
answers. What you're doing is learning how to express that and teach it and just like, find a way to make it possible for somebody to consume this information. So I literally just was able to figure out different ways and use my people skills that I gained from all different aspects previously from what I was
Hmm.
doing and kind of make it a easy environment for somebody to learn. There's no
Right.
need to make one way the way for the whole entire training. I'm friends with my students, like me and them have really, really good relationships. And I don't know how many people could
Hmm.
say the same thing, But like me and my students, we'd fly, we do a cross country, go out to eat, we debrief while we're eating a burger. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it was that type of relationship I would have, and it was just so much easier to learn from, you know? So
Hmm.
it
Yeah, I
was
think that's important.
it was interesting seeing the FOI course because the FOI was kind of like a psychology course. So you get to know what people need if they're ready to learn, what makes somebody a good student, what makes you a good instructor. Because like what was crazy to me was I can't teach everybody. No, some people don't understand my teaching methods, and that is okay.
Hmm.
You got to be okay with that. Like sometimes you have to refer certain students to different people because they just don't get it. Another instructor could say the same exact thing, but they might change the cadence and maybe they understand like that, you know. But it's no reason to feel any type of way about it. It's just like you see where you can help and where you can't, you recommend them elsewhere. And I think that part was the hardest as far as CFIing because you have to understand like you are not the greatest person. You're taking that check ride in front of somebody who really knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Yeah.
you don't know everything. And when I'm
Very
sitting,
humbling.
yeah, when I'm sitting in the right seat of the jet, um, I'm telling the captain in my briefs, I'm new to the company, I'm new to the aircraft. I have a little bit less than 2,000 hours right now. If you see something, you need to say something because like I'm not relying on you, but we are a team. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if like don't keep your mouth shut. And for the most part, captains do a great job at I guess verbalizing their concerns. But I also want to leave the platform open for them, like leave the door open for them to tell me, like, hey, I wouldn't have done that, and this is the reason why. Because I'm trying to learn. Like I want to be in that seat one day. I want to be the captain of the ship. I want to go ahead and mentor people and teach people certain things. But most importantly, I want to get comfortable in this plane. So if you see
Yeah.
something out of the ordinary, tell me why you wouldn't do it that way. And let's try it out on the next approach. Like let's do it. We got 2 weeks to do
Hmm.
this together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we could
Yeah.
try everything. And what I like about this company as well is I'm actually flying the plane. When I was at Spirit, they they had a little bit less tolerance of people doing things differently. They kind of wanted to stick to a specific standard and they wanted you to fly the plane a specific way, which isn't bad. It's good to have like a standardized way of flying. But if I go up to a captain and I'm like, hey captain, what does this button do? And they're like, I don't know. I've never pressed it before. That's kind of concerning, like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
like, oh, we don't really touch that button. I was like, don't you know aren't you supposed to know everything about this plane? Like,
Yeah.
can we
I would
touch
think
it?
so.
Yeah. So over here,
Yeah.
I get to touch all the buttons that the captain lets me touch, within
Okay.
safety. And
Right.
the button specifically that I'm talking about is the vertical speed button. So specifically on the 7.5 and 7.6, I don't remember too many things about the Airbus, but for the 7.5, 7.6, you press vertical speed, and I'm not sure if you've worked with an autopilot before, but what'll
Yeah.
happen is the plane kind of throws away everything else but your vertical speed. So if you pit or if you want the plane to do 1,500 feet per minute, it'll do what it has to do to get 1,500 feet per minute, no matter what, which is really dangerous because you lose all of your protections. That's what's scary. Like your airspeed protection, what'll happen is if you want like 15 or 2,000 feet per minute, it'll pitch the nose down, but then your airspeed will increase too much and you might overspeed the plane.
Hmm.
So that's why they don't want
Right.
to touch it. But I had to find that out by doing it, and the captain let me do it. He was like, hey, look at that airspeed. That's why we don't do that. I'd recommend this right now,
Mm.
So now I'm
Right.
sitting over here fighting and pulling the speed brakes out and stuff. And he was like, yeah. Once I got it under control, he was like, well, bet you won't do that again. Like literally, I'll ask the captain, I'm like, hey, captain, I want to do this. And he was like, all right, let's see how that goes. Because like he's so much more experienced, he wouldn't allow me to do nothing that he couldn't fix himself. And he's like, yo, I want you to
Right.
learn. Come on, let's do it. As long
That's
as
the
it's
best way to
within
learn.
safety. That's great. At Spirit, I couldn't do
Yeah.
that. We had I don't know, like 165 people in the back. They didn't want to feel none of this.
Yeah.
You know, you ever been in the back of a plane
Yeah.
and like you're going through a little bit of turbulence and like you just see like everybody's head just like going like
Yeah.
this in unison.
Yeah.
So they didn't
Uh-huh.
want to do none of that. They didn't really let me fly the plane that much, like really fly how I wanted to fly it in order to learn. But
See, I think one last question I have for on the instructing thing, and then we'll kind of move on we'll switch gears a little bit to keep this thing rolling. But last thing on instructing, what was your favorite course to instruct during your time in GA? Actually, a two-part question. One, what was your favorite course to instruct? And two, are any of your former students flying big metal?
mm, oh man, I do believe my former students are flying big metal. They they weren't they weren't my full on students though, which sucks. So
Yeah.
my the company that I was working for at one time was called Prey Aviation. They were located in Kansas. We had a contract with the military. There was a program called Skill Bridge, and what we did was we did the rotary
Mhm.
transition program from helicopter to fixed wing. I was the designated CF double I. So that is my favorite thing to teach. I told you, like it's such an easy course in my opinion
Okay.
that like getting these students to understand it was amazing. And they had previous experience as well because they're already commercially rated in the helicopter. So transferring that knowledge made it so much easier. But yeah, those people, some of them signed contracts with like Frontier. I'm not too sure if I think a couple of them went to GoJet as well. But
Okay.
from the ground up, I don't think my direct students are in metal yet, in heavy metal. I think they need a little bit more hours and then they'll
More
be on their
time.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Got you. See, I've done a lot. Okay. So I know you mentioned eventually long term you want to use this income now to fund something else outside of aviation, whether
Yeah.
it's real estate or whatever the case may be. But in the meantime, do you think you would go back to the 121 world? Do you plan to maybe shift away from cargo, or do you think you'll stick with cargo until you get to that point where you're
Mhm.
satisfied and you've made captain to kind of go to the next chapter?
Yeah, I do want to go back to passengers. What was
Okay.
crazy was I thought cargo would be under a different part, but it actually, for my company, it actually is 121 operations. It's just cargo 121 instead of passenger 121.
Passenger.
So
Okay.
I do want to go back to passenger flying and stuff like that. I just don't think it's the climate right now. I need more time. You know, I need more experience. I want to really stick around long enough to really understand the 7.6. I don't want to continue jumping around. You know, I already got the
Yeah.
320 type, the 7.6 type. I don't think me going to like let's say Southwest to get a 7.3 type would be super beneficial if ultimately I want to end up at Delta United. You know, I think getting my hours, being in a comfortable place to where I can actually bring something to the table when people are asking me questions, like the interviewers are asking me questions like, hey man, so like, you know, tell me about a time when this happened or tell me about a time when that happened. And I don't have any longevity anywhere because at Piedmont, my first company, I was there for 6 months. At Spirit, I was there for 6 months. I just made
Mhm.
maybe 8 or 9 months over here at Prime. There's no longevity. So I think as of right now, my current goal or my task is going to be understand the plane, get comfortable in the plane, be able to know, have that situational awareness and know what's going on, what's happening next. I want to pick my captain's brain as much as possible. You know, he tells me to do this. Why? Of course, if we have time to talk about it, I'll ask him why. And it won't be disrespectful or anything like that, but I want to
Yeah.
know what's going on. You know, like there was a situation where we were flying from, I think, San Bernardino to Wilmington, Ohio. And he said, ask for a deviation 10 to the left. I asked for the deviation. We went 10 to the left, and we're staring down the barrel of a cumulonimbus cloud, you know,
Mm.
and other clouds next to it. And I saw a little gap in between the cumulonimbus and some other situation going on, but that was 10 to the right. So I said, Captain, hey, what's going on? Why not go 10 to the right? Why'd you choose 10 to the left? And these are the little conversations that we'd have in the flight levels. You know, you're like, well,
Okay.
I didn't want to have to chase it. I don't know how fast it's developing. We're still a few miles out. You know, if we're I don't know, 50 miles out and we can see that going on over there. Let's say something happens in the next 50 miles or 100 miles out, and we're looking. we might be in a situation to where we're chasing to like try to get through that gap versus just going around it. And that is the type of knowledge that I want to have when I go to my Delta United interview. It could be
Mm,
a question as simple as, what would you do if you were to lose a generator past your equal time point going from like on an ETOPS flight? If it's going to be equal time to get from here to there, what are you going to do? Like how do you think? And they kind of want to hear your thought process, but you need experience to get there. You need to
right.
start thinking like a captain because places like Delta United American, they're not hiring FOs, they're hiring captains. They're hiring people who can make
Captains, yeah.
decisions like that. Like if, this guy passes out next to me, are you going to be able to efficiently get the plane on the ground, continue to maintain a like positive control of the aircraft while communicating to ATC, the flight attendants, the passengers, ops of what's going on, and staying within the company standard as long as it's safe and stuff.
Right.
So that's what I want to work on. Like I'm here to work on how to be a captain. Like that is my goal right now. Like I want to know the thought process behind it and see where I lack, like where I can get better in those areas. Just
Hmm.
not having to rely on the captain to know everything. Like I want to be able to catch the captain and say, "Hey, captain, by the way, I think this is what you meant by that," or "I saw this in the paperwork. How do you feel about it?" Because you're not going to sit here and tell the captain that he's wrong. You're going to be like, "No, that's not right." You're going to say, "Hey, I thought it was this way. Can you explain it to me like how you came up with that number?" We were flying not too long ago, and he put in the wrong, what was it, like fuel number for our landing weight. So we got to do some
Hmm.
calculation for our fuel, and he got a different number than I got. And I didn't immediately say, "No, you're wrong." I said, "Oh man, I may have done my math incorrectly. How did you come up with that?" Just to get him to, do it over again. And he did it. I
Right.
was like, "Oh
Right.
no, I was actually off by a couple hundred, you know? So, or 1,000 or two."
Wow.
So, yeah, that's
It's
kind of
all
like
about
my
the
goal right now.
approach.
Yeah, and how you do it. You don't want to try to, I guess, what do they call it? Outshine your master.
Like,
Like,
yeah, show
dude,
them up.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, he knows this plane like the back of his head. Like the back of his hand. He probably just slipped up, but
Yeah. He's human.
there's no way that, I'd get to the point where I think I know more than him or, I'm better than him. Like there's just so much to learn. Like even with the pilots or the captains that come off as like angry or whatever, like there's just so much more to learn. And you kind of just
Yeah.
gotta crack them open, and you got to do that with communication. Like you just be a nice guy.
Yeah. Especially with where you're at, like you said, man, versus passengers. You might just fly with a guy one day, never see him again. You're
Yeah,
with these guys for a long period of time. So relationships are huge. And I talk about that a
yeah,
lot too, but to really, have that in front of our face here with you here, given,
yeah.
your current position, man. So do you see single pilot ops? This is something that's talked about often.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you're here. But do you see single pilot ops on the horizon in the near future, specifically with like cargo aircraft?
I don't see it possible in the near future. However, I think it would happen in cargo before it happens with passengers.
Passengers, yeah. Okay.
It's just too much going on as far as, just like I told you, my captain forgot to, a couple thousand pounds of fuel, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
The computer, you put garbage in, you get garbage out, no matter which way you do it.
Joe,
So if
yeah.
you only got one person to double check that, it's bound, something's going to happen. But now we got to figure out like what is AI going to do, or like what is the computer in the plane going to do in order to correct that, or are there going to be other people like that can connect to the plane in order to catch if there's something wrong in there. Like I'm not too sure, but I would say I don't see that happening. But if it was to happen, I think it would happen in cargo first, just
Yeah.
to try
Or
it out.
passenger first.
I
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
over passengers. Yeah, over passengers. I think it would happen in cargo first, but I think the
Cargo.
public eye just wouldn't like it, and we gotta kind of take
Yeah.
them into consideration. I would not be getting in a plane if I knew that there was only one passenger there. I mean,
Only
one
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 pilot.
one
Yeah.
pilot there. Yeah, and I'm not saying that because I want my job to be secure, but I'm saying that like sitting from a perspective like me sitting in the back of like any aircraft, if I know that there's only one guy up there, what if he's having a bad
Yeah.
day? Like, is
You
anybody
just
there
never
to
know.
talk to him? See how he's
Right.
doing, and
Right.
I take it out of that other stuff, like the training. I know he can do it. I know he's able to do so. But bro, like we slip up,
Right.
like
Yeah.
things happen, and that's what we're there for. We're a
Hmm.
team. There's just so much more going
Yep.
on.
Or things that he can't control, like some sort of medical emergency. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. There's just so much.
Yeah.
I think they say like our brain can only handle like what, like seven things, six or seven things at a
I
time at
hadn't heard
once.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but we can only focus on so many things at once. And
Right.
after we reach that limit, it's like little penguins falling off of an iceberg. You get new information, and then one of the penguins go, and then you get new information,
Right.
and that thing just left. So leaving that up to one guy, I don't know. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
You better watch out if I'm the only person up there, because I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like
And you can
even
only
myself.
compartmentalize so much.
Yeah, there's only just but so many things you can actually do by yourself. Like this is a team effort.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I need my
Um.
captain, I need my flight attendants, I need ops, I need all of these people. Like we're all working
Yeah.
together when that happens. It's not just
Right.
me and the captain up there.
Right. So besides, so with the whole thing, as far as when I asked you about going to back to passenger as opposed to staying to cargo,
Hmm.
is is being able to have the beard, the facial
Yeah,
hair, is that kind of
I get
a
that a
big part
lot.
of it too?
Yeah, I got that a lot. I got that a lot. They're like, how are you able to keep your beard? I can't
Yeah.
believe this.
Yeah.
You, like, how did you do that? And your hair, like, well, there's not too
Right.
much wrong with my hair, but for the most part, you don't see pilots that look like this very often. And yeah, so like cargo, since we're out of the public eye, some companies will
Mm,
let us keep our beard, let us keep our hair. Other companies, they tell you to shave, but that can all be found in the operations manual that you get when you first start at the company. There'll be like a uniform or a appearance. Um,
okay.
I don't want to say a regulation, but it's somewhere in our policy. And we kind of just abide by that. They'll tell you how much beard you can have, like how the length of it. They'll tell you if you can't have a beard, you can have a mustache, but the mustache can only be X amount of inches from the top of your lip, and
Top of the lip. Yeah.
stuff like that. Or
It's like the military.
yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's like that. But yeah, with my company, they let us keep our beards and hair. I wish I would have been able to, keep my hair, but Piedmont prior, they made, no, I'm sorry,
Uh,
Spirit made me cut my
they
hair.
made you cut it.
Yeah, Spirit made me cut it. They were like, listen, we don't ain't got nothing against you, but we don't want the
Yeah. Yeah.
passengers to think anything, so we got to keep this
Yeah.
professionalism
We don't want
look
them thinking
upheld.
this ain't soul plane.
Yeah,
This ain't soul
yeah,
plane over here.
yeah. You know. So yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
got
pretty
you.
much that. But yeah, man. So like, there's a whole attire kind of policy, and you kind of just abide by that. But yeah, I'm happy that I get to at least keep my beard. But really, for
Yeah.
me, it's really nothing. Like I'd shave it tomorrow if it changed. I don't really care about it.
Right. I got you. So yeah, man, my thing here, positive rate, slogan that I've kind of coined here is leading others to climb to their full potential through the lens of aviation, right? So
Hmm.
outside, so kind of taking a step away from aviation for a second. I know that, we talk about you being a barber. I know you do your thing with art. Um, you know, is there anything else you're working on right now, like business wise, like outside of aviation that you want to talk about?
Ooh. Uh, well, I just bought a house. That's my
Okay. Oh,
very first
congratulations,
crib.
man.
Appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
It is exactly what everybody says. Expensive. So I'm never at my house, man. I'm always in like somebody's hotel or something like that. So I think I might start up maybe a little crash pad business, or maybe rent
Mm,
out, a couple of rooms in there, and see what I could make of that.
yeah.
Um, I currently don't have a car. I haven't had a car since I've been in private, because like it wasn't convenient for me. So I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe I could get a car, rent it, or something like that. Like I'm kind of in the mode when I'm in these hotels. I'm just thinking of so many other things. And I don't know, maybe I might bring my clippers with me on my overnights. Like if I'm here for 2 weeks, and maybe throw out a post or maybe an advertisement saying that I'm a barber in this area for this amount of time. Come to the hotel
Wow.
and get a cut. I don't know yet. But I think right now I'm in the brainstorming phase. So I'm kind of just trying to
Okay.
see what would make the most sense for me to do in my free time without,
Yeah.
just sitting here wasting it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
little bit
man.
of the things. There's just a couple of the things I'm kind of just been thinking about and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now that's what it's about, man. Is like, as you kind of speak into it now, but multiple streams of income. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Having multiple ways to get it. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on? Even though I know what a crash pad is, but for
Hmm.
anybody who's watching this who's maybe never heard of that, can you speak on that
Yeah,
real
absolutely.
briefly?
So what happens is when you get a job working at an airline, they typically base you somewhere. My job, we don't do that. We're home based, so we kind of just get flown out to wherever they need us. But some other companies don't give their employees the luxury of doing that. So what happens is you get based somewhere. If you work for Delta, you'll probably get based in Atlanta or New York or Salt Lake City, and those might not be your actual places of residence. In order to hold those places, you need to have seniority at the company. You need to be there for a couple of years. You just got hired. You're probably not going to get the base that you want. So you would look around for people to have these crash pads or like different, I guess, rooms for rent. And for like a really, really cheap price, a month or a week, you can have a place that you can go to whenever you're ready to go to work. So like if you had to work from the 15th to the 20th for a trip, you can contact this crash pad business and say, hey, I needed a room or a bed. And in that room, there's probably some bunk beds. You might be like living with a few people, but it's just a place for you to rest your head so that you don't have to commute the same day to your work trip and possibly miss your work flight because of your commute flight. It's kind of a commuting kind of thing. So I was thinking maybe like some people that work for Delta could come on over and like I'll rent out, certain places around the house. Throw some bunk beds up in there and see what I can do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like I said, it's still in the brainstorming process, and I gotta find the
Yeah,
ins and
yeah,
outs about like the real estate stuff and money and utilities and all of that jazz involved.
right. It sounds like you're gonna have some time to do it, man.
Yeah, right.
Being there in the hotel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. We'll kind of shift gears one last time, and we'll kind of get ready to close this out,
All
man.
right. Cool.
With the segment that I like to call "Clear for the Option."
Uh-huh.
So this is kind of just it's almost like a rapid fire, just something for the people watching, man. They kind of get your take on some things, your personal take,
Hmm.
some of your favorites or least favorites things, and then we'll get ready to get you up out of here.
All right, sounds good. Do you mind if
Yeah,
I gotta take my teeth out? I'm gonna drink this
take it.
coffee. Yeah, I said it.
Oh yeah. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure I heard you right,
Oh,
bro.
I got Invisalign. So like when
Oh,
I
okay, I got
when I
you.
drink like coffee, I gotta take them out or else it'll stain it, and people think I got bad
Oh
hygiene.
yeah,
I'll
I
put
got you.
that to the
No, man, no,
side.
do your thing, bro. You good. Um, but yeah, man. So yeah, while he's taking his teeth out, man, we'll go ahead and clear him for the option. So yeah, with that, clear for the option, bro. Let's see here. What is your favorite, if you have one? What is your favorite airplane? It could be any GA, could be an airliner. Like what is your favorite airplane?
I'm gonna go PA 28-180 Piper Cherokee. Love that plane.
Okay,
It's been good to me. It's an
okay,
honest plane. It's an honest one.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Favorite flight you've ever taken?
Favorite flight would have to be from on to Cable Airport, California, to Atlanta with my best friend Bijan. My student had just purchased a plane. He went out there, got the pre-buy done, and then he called me up and said, "Hey, Mikhael, I need you to move my plane for me. I need you to go pick it up." So we both non-revved out to California, picked his Warrior up, and then flew it across the country. It, Amazing experience. It took
Wow.
about like 3 days to
Yeah.
do it, but like me and him had a blast the whole entire time.
That sounds like it, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was okay, so what's the worst part of your job?
the the time that I have to report to work. Like the other day I reported at like 10 p.m. Another day I reported at 3 a.m. Another time I
Mm,
reported at 8. There was one time I reported at like 6. It's like it's never consistent, you know? So
yeah.
like it's whenever people need you or the company needs you. And that's kind of what I
Yeah.
don't like about it. It was like the nighttime flying, but then again, it could just be because I'm not forcing myself to sleep. Like right now, I should be asleep, but I'm not because like I'm just
Hmm.
not used to it. I'm drinking black coffee and talking to my boy, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the worst part about it is really me not having the discipline to know how to force myself to sleep. And I think that comes with cargo. Like you have to know how to like train your body to operate outside of its circadian flow. You like that? That
Hmm.
sound professional, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, that's
So
actual terminology there. I
yeah,
like
right?
that.
So yeah, man, it's hard on my body right now because I told you I'm only 25. Do you see this? You see how many grays I have?
Hey, man, that's wisdom right there, bro.
I'm stressed. I'm stressed out.
Yeah,
You feel me?
yeah, I feel you, man.
So yeah, I'd probably say like the time that we have to report to work. But I'm getting
Okay,
more and more comfortable with it as I go on. So it's
okay,
not the worst. It's not the worst thing, but
right,
that is the worst thing about flying for me right now. But yeah, I could
okay,
have bigger problems.
right, right. Okay. So with that, then, so what's the best part of your job?
Take flying in the daytime. Flying flying in the daytime is probably the best part because I actually get to see what's going on outside.
Mm,
Um, I love I love having conversations with my captains too. Like a good conversation,
mm,
you can't beat that. Like I get to
yeah,
learn so much about people and like they'll spark up like very influential conversations to where it's like, man, I think I want to do that. And then when we land, I'm like, I don't want to build no pergola. Like it just be the weirdest stuff. But like
yeah,
we're so
yeah,
engaged at the time, and I just really like being able to pick my captain's brain and figure out like where he came from, how it was like back in his day, and
right.
they always tell me, like, even if I don't ask, but I enjoy hearing it. Back in my day, we used to have to do this, we used to do that, and man, I can't believe you youngsters out here flying. Like they
Right.
still can't believe my age. Like when I'm sitting in the Red
Yeah.
Sea, they're like, "What?"
Yeah. They love telling you about NDBs.
Yeah, yeah, all of that stuff, man. They tell me about that.
Yeah.
They tell me about all the trials and tribulations that they done gone through, and sometimes it get a little bit heated in the flight deck. They're like,
Mm.
man, just I I've done gotten furloughed about 7 times. You don't know, do you? They look over at me like, listen, brother, did you? I think we about to miss a radio call if you keep raising your voice.
But hey, I'm pretty sure that was for us.
I'm sure it was. Say again.
Yeah. Yeah,
No, but
that's
like,
hilarious.
but like, they're so nice. Like, I have not flown with anybody at my company that I hated or didn't get along with, or we didn't respect the same values. Like, it's such a healthy environment over here because we all complain about the same stuff. The
Hmm.
flying, we get up there and we're like, man, here we are again. It's so late at night. How you doing today? Did you get some sleep? Yeah, how's the old girl? And like, just I don't even know the guy, and like we just able to spark it up because we're all
Yeah.
kind of we don't live the same life, but
Right.
we share this experience at Amazon. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So like it's like we always connect. We always connect. So like
Right.
I would say flying in the daytime and talking to my captains, the best thing ever. Or like learning something new about the
Best thing.
plane. Yeah, because then I can
Okay.
keep that information and try it on another captain, and some of them are impressed. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know you was gonna do." Okay, all right, you know what you're doing. And like I feel so good.
Yeah.
I feel so good when they say,
Yeah.
"Yo, you did a good job on that approach." You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
I like the way you do what you do. There was some other guys I
That's
was
what's up.
flying with, they wasn't doing that. Now the landing,
Yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
it was a little firm because we coming in sometimes a little hot. It's a little fast for
Coming out.
me. I got 1,500 hours of coming in at like 60
Yeah.
miles an hour. Then we coming at like
Right.
a buck and a half, and I gotta
Right. Yeah.
sometimes
It's a little
hey the
different.
ground just comes up on me sometimes. You know what I say? It's like the last
Yeah.
100 feet, just gravity will get you. You know.
Hey, that sight picture hit a little different.
Hmm. Yep.
um, what's your favorite? I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. What's
All
your
right.
favorite haircut to do? What's your favorite type of cut
Gotta
to
say
do?
it.
You like doing?
I'm
What's up?
sorry.
What
I
is it?
didn't even mean to cut you off, but I already done had it. I had that one in the
Yeah.
queue. It was so
Yeah.
in the South they call it a temp fade. Up north they call it,
Yep.
or in up north they call it a taper. Down in Florida, they call it a
Okay.
blowout. Don't really like that terminology. So I'll call it like a small
Right.
little fade on the sides and in the back. And like
Okay.
that is my favorite one to do because I feel like just everybody looks great with that haircut. When drop fades came out, when I think it was like when Bryson Tiller was doing his thing, like that little Tiller
Hmm.
effect situation, everybody liked
Yeah.
that. They call it the
Yep.
South of France, so the Usher fade, the kind of situation that was fun to do. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that one had people in a chokehold. They'll come in asking for
Yeah.
Usher fade, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it would probably be a temp fade, sides in the back, faded out, nice crispy shape up, connected to the
Yep.
beard. How you doing?
Yep.
Yeah,
Facts. That's what's up.
that was my favorite one, man.
That was the go. That was the
Yeah, that was
go-to.
the go-to. If
That
anybody said, yeah,
that
just
that that was
freestyle,
the
go
yeah.
ahead.
Now I was gonna say that's the joint that I have somebody stopping by Target for no reason on the way
Mm,
home.
yeah, just to let the
Just
cut breathe.
stopping by Target and Ulta.
Yeah,
Like, let me
yeah.
just go walk around.
You gotta let that one air out a little bit. You gotta
Yeah,
air. You
yeah,
can't just throw a hat on
yeah,
and so you burn yourself.
yeah.
You gotta let that one breathe.
Right.
But
I'm gonna go to Target and stop by the candle section just because.
just might, you know, might leave with a candle, might leave with a number. Who knows?
Hey.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's see. I got two things left for you, man. If you had to pick one, would you take the perfect approach and a butter fire landing, your best landing ever, or like the perfect temp fade where you just line somebody up just right and it's like you just see the joy on their face, like that's the best cut they ever had.
Man, there's a lot of reward, but a whole lot of risk
Yeah.
with this one. I gotta say the approach and landing, man. I gotta go with that
Okay.
one. The haircut, we could just laugh that off another time, and arguably that's already happened before. Because I'm not perfect, whether it be flying or cutting. I'm just a guy who, just does things. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's
Right.
it. I'm not no aficionado. I don't know everything about everything. So there's been a couple times people done got up out the chair when I first started and they was leaning.
Uh-oh.
And I just
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
hey, I ain't even mean to do you like that, my boy.
Right.
Please come
Right.
back in 2 weeks. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely that approach, man, because there's nothing like being on the numbers, like being exactly
Hmm.
where you want to be, and then you just hear the captain, or sometimes you don't hear the captain. There's sometimes like I have a good landing, and like I'll look over just to see if he saw what I just saw, or felt what I just felt, and
Yeah.
sometimes they won't say anything, and I kind of gotta get it out of them because
Yeah.
I need to know if you just
Cause
felt
you
it
like, yo,
right.
you hating right. You like,
Yeah,
yo, man, why you hating right
yeah,
now?
you know what
You
I'm
know that was
saying.
nice.
Hey, he's talking about sterile coffee. We're texting right now. I'm like,
Oh,
all right.
dang.
Now you wanna? I get it. Critical
Right,
phase of.
right.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, yeah, man, definitely that. And sometimes they'll tell you though. They'll tell you, but man, that was really good landing. That was really nice. I like what you're doing. Keep it up.
Yeah,
And like that makes me
yeah.
feel good. That makes me feel good. So I'll go with the approach and landing for sure.
That's what's up. Okay. Last thing I got for you, bro. What's the biggest piece of advice you give to somebody right now, man, that's interested in pursuing this thing called aviation, regardless of their life situation, family situation, but if you tell them they want to get into it, what you got for
I would tell the younger generation, or maybe even older, just anybody who's interested in aviation, that the most important thing is learning how to study. It's as simple as that. I know
them?
it's very cliche. Like if you can do anything you put your mind to, and you just gotta study hard. Excuse me, but the fact of the matter is, like, knowing how to study is half of the battle. If you don't have the discipline to sit at that table or put your phone down or, reach out to people who might be able to help you later on in life and, just ask them, hey, do you have a moment to talk about this? You're not going to get anywhere because you're not doing the necessary steps. Like I'm talking the bare minimum to just try to get to where you need to go. So I would say learning how to study. What I used to do was I used to set 90-minute timers because I heard somewhere that like after 90 minutes, your brain just stops learning or like you taking in information. So I just set 90-minute timers and then like maybe 45 minutes I'll take for a break for myself. And I would set goals to not leave my table until I get to a specific chapter. Not, oh, I'm going to study for
Right.
2 hours because maybe within that 2 hours, I might, be on my phone or I might go to the bathroom or something like that will mess up my actual productivity. So what I'll do is if I say, all right, I'm going to sit at this table until I get from chapter one to chapter three, I will not leave that table until I get from chapter one to chapter three. I don't care how many times I have to reset the timer. I will not be leaving. And there's been times where I've
Mm.
done played myself. I would get home from work and I'd be cutting hair. I'd go sit at the table in my sister's basement and I'd set a timer for like eight. I would start at 8 p.m and then I'd set the 90-minute timer, and there I am at 9:30, barely through chapter one. But I told myself I was going to stay there until I was done. So I take a little break, and then I set the timer again, and then there we go. Then it's 12. It's somewhere close to like 12 o'clock now, and now I'm kind of halfway through chapter two, and then I set the timer again. So I think just learning that discipline or developing that discipline, and you learning how to complete the task at hand. That is what helps out. Like that is what studying is, just having that discipline to do so. And, maybe study groups. I'm not a study group kind of guy. I talk too
Yeah.
much, and like I joke around way too much, way too much. I have too much personality for a study group. So I kind of study by myself and then just with my instructor. And, we just go over things as many times as possible, but like really sitting at that table and setting that 90-minute timer, that's the best advice I could give you. Like, really make sure you do not leave until you accomplish what you need to accomplish and don't run from certain things. When I first started, I think it was pressure altitude or density altitude or one of the altitudes I didn't understand as far as how that affects performance. And then doing performance calculations, I would run from that stuff because it was just so much work or fuel burn or
Mm.
something, anything of those that like that math nature. I just wasn't really with none of that. I'd try to run away from it, and then that question will come up on the practice exam. And the way that Gleim had it set up, like the company that I used for my written exam, they would show you your weak areas, and every time it'll be cross country flight planning, performance charts, and stuff like that. So I had to do extra work because I was running. So it's better to find a way on how to learn that topic than run away from it. Or if you could try to find a way to explain it to somebody, then that helps too. And if you can't explain it to somebody, then you don't know it. It's as simple as that.
Mm.
So you kind of just keep working your way through it. Like the other day, I was at a ground session with one of my friends, and I forgot what the real term of adverse yaw. And I was trying to work it out, and I said, "Dude, I gotta look it up. I, I'm not a robot or anything. I don't have all of
Right.
anything memorized like I'm a textbook or something. So I just looked it up, and then I figured out afterwards what it actually meant, and I was able to tell him, or even screenshot it and send it to him afterwards. And I was like, "Yeah, this is what it is. Does that make sense?" And I'm asking myself, like, does that make sense? The drag and then increasing the lift and drag and then it wants to
Yeah.
pull over to the outside of the turn. I was like, yeah, it does. But
Mm.
sometimes you just gotta like just not run, just go look it up somewhere. Like
Yeah.
ask people, what do you think about this? Or this is my understanding. And I feel like that helps you become a CFI as well. Because if you're able to get your student to not regurgitate, but explain things to you, you can see the holes in their learning,
Mm.
and then you can fill those holes with the proper information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, that helps out a lot. So don't run
Yeah.
from the things that you don't know, and make sure you sit at that table until you get done with
Yeah.
what needs to be done.
Set goals and stick to them.
Yeah, that's as
Yeah.
simple as that, I'm only
Yeah.
asking for perfection. It shouldn't be that hard, you know.
Gotcha. Hey man, well there it is. Boom. And with that, man, you clear the land.
All right, thank you. I
So
appreciate it.
yeah, man. Yeah, this was great, man. Honestly, even better than I expected. I knew it was gonna be great, but even
Hmm.
better. So, with that, man, that's all I had for you. Don't go anywhere. Once we go off of here, we'll kind of do our own little quick debrief. But um, last little plug for Mikhael here, man. Anybody that wants to follow along with his journey, man, hit him up. Look him up on Instagram, the Flyest Barber. And
Please,
with that,
please.
man, I'm Ricky and Positive Rate Aviation, episode 8, man. We out. Mikhael, thanks again, brother.
No
It
problem.
was a
Anytime.
pleasure, man. And anytime
Likewise.
you want to come back, if we want to go around for another one, man, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I think
So,
I think the next one should take place in a hangar with us mic'd up, getting a haircut side like right next to a plane.
mm,
I think that's what we should do.
okay,
And we'll bring another guy
mm,
in on it too. I think that'll
okay.
be interesting. Or gal, who knows? You know?
Yeah, hey, I'm with that actually, because usually it's kind of crazy. I very rarely don't like have my hair cut, man. But
Uh-huh.
been busy, man. Started this multi, been
Hmm.
kind of grinding lately, man. So I didn't get chopped up. So that's why I got
We got to make that
the
happen.
positive rate hat on right now.
Hey,
But yeah,
I,
we
I'll
can
give you
definitely
the
do that.
I'll give you the old reliable. You know that little
Yeah,
side in the back situation, and you will be in
yeah.
target. Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, yeah, appreciate you, and like I said, man, we'll kind of hang back for a second. But thanks
Absolutely.
for everybody for watching.
No
Yes,
problem.
sir.